This is Access to Part 2 video. We've been working with Access and we've created a table and we've added some fields and done some descending order. Now we're asked to import a downloaded file that you should have had from the beginning video, but I want to show you what that file looks like, okay? So we had in the beginning video made a folder called Access To, and inside that folder we downloaded files. The file that we're actually looking to import into Access now is an Excel file. It's called a Greater Plants file, and that's what it's going to look like an Excel table, just so you know what it looks like and what you're going to import. All right, so let's get started in importing that file and making it part of Access. I'm going to move our instructions over here off to the right, and that'll help us know where we're headed next. When we import import external data, we go to our fourth tab of external data, and Access has made it pretty user friendly. You can import text files, XML files, Access files. In this case, we know we want to go to an Excel file, and so we're going to go Excel, and it gives us a wizard and saying, okay, you're going to get some external data. Where are you going to find that data? Can you find the specific source of where that data is at? So what we're going to do now is browse. And as you'll remember, I had put that file on our desktop. So I'm going to go to my desktop. You may be going to a pen drive. You may be going to your C drive, wherever you made your folder to hold the information for Access To. Okay, and I made Access To with an icon so I could easily find it. And Access's external data browser goes, oh, well, if this is the folder you want, here's the only Excel file in that folder. It highlights the Excel file folder for us, and we double click it, and that puts it in our queue to be imported into Access. Our instructions were to import the downloaded file. Now we've been using the external data tab, and we've got Excel imported, and we browse for it and it's ready to go. But some of the other instructions are to make sure that this new table is in the current database. So we're going to make sure that we import the source into a new table in our current database, which is our first little radio button we click, and then we go OK. Our next choice is your spreadsheet file contains more than one worksheet arranged. Which worksheet arrange would you like? We want it to show our worksheets, which is a default setting, and then we click Next. Our new instructions tell us to specify that the first row contains column headings. And Microsoft Office asks us, do we want our first row to contain column headings? So we check that. So that matches our instructions of the first row containing column headings, and you can see how plant ID, plant name, and plant on hand are the columns that are coming from Excel that are going to make row column headings in Access. Our next instruction is to set the plant ID field name to have no duplicates. Well, that's great, except Access defaults indexing with duplicates. So we want to come to the pull down menu under Index, and we want to go yes, it is true, we want no duplicates. Alright, so we're going to click that pull down menu to yes, no duplicates, and that matches what our instructions were yes with no duplicates. Next, we're asked to set the plant ID field name to a data type of long integer. If you look over here on data type, our Access defaults at double. But what we want is to find that long integer setting, and that will match us up for our data type of our field name plant ID having a data type of long integer. Now it's asking that we set the plant ID field to as the primary key. We need to go ahead and go on to the next screen in our import spreadsheet wizard, and we need, instead of letting Access determine the primary key, we've decided that we want the plant ID field to be the primary key. So we can make sure we click the radio button, choose my primary key, and you have a choice, but we want plant ID, and then we will go next. Now we need to import the table with the name plants, and don't save the import steps. Now, if you were going to be doing this process again several times, it would be a good thing to save these importing steps. But we're not going to, so we're going to leave this unclicked. We make sure our title matches plants, and then we click Finish. Again, it's asking us, do we want to save our import steps? We do not, so we click Close. And now the plants table has appeared in our All Access objects under the tables, and we have plants. Now let's look at the plant table that we imported. Here is our plant table in Access. I'm going to double click the column row so I can read plant names. And we can see that we have imported our information about the plants from Excel, and now it's part of our Access database. Once we go to close it, it says, do you want to save the changes to the layout table of plants? Yes, we want to save those changes. Begin establishing relationships in the database by adding the donations, the donors, and the plants table. So we're going to add 3 tables inside our relationship window. Go to Database Tools. We're going to go to Relationships. So we're on the 5th tab at Database Tools, Relationships. And we're going to, once we click on Relationships, the Design tab opens up. And we're going to go to Show Table. And now, remember, we were being asked to add the donations table, the donors table, and the plants table. You can just double click each one of those tables. Click once and add one, and there is the donations table. Click one and add one, and there's the donors table. So when I click it, I'll move this down so you can see. I'll click plants and I'll click add, and then it'll add that plants table as well. Now we've added our tables, donations, donor, and plants, to our relationship window, and we can close our show table dialog box. Our next instructions is to create a one-to-many relationship on the donor field in the donors table. Let's start with that. And the donor field ID field in the donations table. So we want to start with the donors table. That's this one. I'm going to change my order here. We're going to move our donors table first. You can just grab up at the top by the title and move them around. You can make them a little bigger so they're easier to see. And what it's asking us to do is take the donor ID and the donors table and make a one-to-many relationship with the donor ID in the donations table. So I hold my mouse, I click on donor ID with the primary key, and I drag it to the donations table donor ID. And when I let go, a edit relationship pop-up window pops up. And now we can determine how we want these relationships to be. Now we need to enforce referential integrity, which means we only want one record that matches a table. So you are enforcing referential integrity between the 2 tables. And that would be this selection right here. And our next selection was to cascade update those related fields. And we're going to click Create to create the one-to-many relationship. We know now that it's a one-to-many relationship. I'm going to move this so you can see it just a little bit better. That table's still back there. We're going to cover it up just for a second so you can see there's a small 1 here, and that 1 is our one donor ID to our many with our donor ID donations. All right, so we've established our one to many relationship. Now we need to create another relationship. We're going to create a one to many relationship between the plant ID field in the plant table and the plant ID field in the donations table. So we need to move our little relationship box back, and we need to remember that we're going to go plant ID field from the plants table. So we're going to click the plant ID from the plants table, our one relationship, to the plant ID in the donations table, which is going to be our mini. So we click on plant ID, we take our mouse and we drag over to plant ID and donations and let go, and then our edit relationship box pops up and we're ready to keep building. Now we need to enforce referential integrity, which is this checkbox, and then we are going to take the option to cascade up to related fields. So that's update to related fields right there, and click create. And there is our one plant ID relationship to our mini plant ID donations. Now we need to save and close the relationship window. There's lots of ways to save. You can use the save floppy disk or file save. I like to go up to the relationship tab. I right click, I hit save, and then I can right click again and hit close.